Alright, it's time for another reading. I don't really feel up to standard right now, so I'm going to talk like this. I mean, I'm not really gonna emphasize anything, but I'm gonna read, which we should all be grateful for because everybody knows I can't really read every day because I have stuff to do. Anyways, where were we? Let's see. Watt watched with concern, and Pinky with casual interest as Ditsy took off, flying full speed down the corridor, screaming incoherent things about reality's borders being broken. "Well, that's no good," said Pinky in a matter-of-fact sort of way once the echoes of the Pegasus' screams disappeared, along with her. "We're gonna need help, too, if we want to save Madame Lafleur." She looked at Watt. "Hey, Mr. Kilowatt Hour," Watt finally introduced himself. "You can just call me Watt." "Okie dokie dokie," Pinky chirped. "Watt, would you please go and try to find Ditsy and convince her to come along while Sir Lancelot and I go ready to depart?" "Of course," said Watt, punctuating the answer with his usual salute. "Or should I say okie dokie loki?" Pinky interrupted in a fit of giggles. "You catch on fast." Still giggling, Pinky grabbed Sir Lancelot, and the two of them made for the castle's entrance, while Watt set out in search of Ditsy. This this is just a dream. I'm not really here. There is no medieval castle, and there's no talking ball of lint. I'm just in my bed, at my home in my cottage, having a very realistic nightmare." Ditsy Doo was curled up in a ball in a small pitch black closet somewhere in the depths of the castle, shivering and repeating her denials of her situation again and again. After a few moments the door opened a crack, and Watt's familiar form appeared. There you are, Ditsy," Watt said, relieved. "Come on, we have to help Pinkie Pie and Sir Lancelot." Ditsy stared silently at Watt, her eyes fully focused for once. "Watt," she said quietly, "I'm not sure you understand the gravity of our situation. We have somehow been transported out of Ponyville, and probably out of the whole Equestria for that matter. We're about to risk our lives to help a sentient ball of lint rescue his beloved sack of flour from something called a king turnip." "Well, yeah," said Watt. "That's our assignment, I think." "And you don't care that the laws of reality have been yanked out from underneath our hoofs?" Ditsy asked. Watt smiled. "Ditsy, let me share with you a bit of Watt wisdom. To be honest, I am as confused as you are about the whole thing that's going on right now. But Pinkie Pie doesn't seem concerned. I'm sure we're going to be back to Ponyville when this is all over, so I don't see this strange situation we found ourselves in a reason to panic. I see it as our new chance to experience something we'll never get to try again. Maybe that's just how my ever-positive attitude talking. But I have a hunch about this whole thing. I've got this feeling that the more bizarre stuff we just take in stride instead of freaking out at is the more smoothly this whole adventure is going to go." "How do you know that?" Ditsy asked, getting to her hooves. Watt shrugged. "I don't, but I'm not gonna try to worry about it. I'm gonna go out there and treat this like any other assignment, and before you know it, there will be love between the ball of lint and the sack of flour, and we'll be back in Sugar Cube Corner, drinking hot cocoa and laughing about the whole thing." For the first time since arriving at this strange place, Ditsy smiled. "All right, Watt, let's give it a try. Just make sure you stick with me. I'm going to need your help." "We're going to need each other's help on this one, I think," Watt said. "Just remember, any anytime something new happens that doesn't make sense, just adjust your logic accordingly and respond to whatever way makes sense based on the new logic. If we do that, we can't go wrong." "I guess you're right," Ditsy said with more confidence. "A crazy adventure might be just what I need to get my mind off the incident with Glow anyway. Come on, let's go find Pinkie Pie." Ditsy and Watt trotted through the large stone hallways until they finally reached the front gates of the castle. Both were amazed to see the landscape surrounding them. The castle sat in the middle of a wide, flat, barren moor, stretching in every direction as far as the eye could see. The ground was barren, and the sky overcast. The whole land had a rather depressing feel to it. "Welcome to my country," came the Welcome to my country, came the voice of Sir Lancelot, who was standing with Pinkie Pie near the castle gates. This is Inanima, the place where objects considered inanimate in your country rule over the land. It used to be a serene and beautiful place, but the corruption of King Turnip had choked the life out of our land, leaving this barren place. I'll say, said Pinkie Pie, this place is looking worse every time I come here, Sir Lancelot. We really have to do something about that. Well, let us begin our quest, the Limball announced. Wait, we have one small matter to take care of first, Ditsy interjected. We're a hired service. How much will we pay for this? How much will we be paid for this? Oh yeah, Watt added. I totally forgot to ask about that. Sir Lancelot asked. I am an important noble in this kingdom, and I am very rich. I can gladly pay each of you 1,000 of your equestrian bits for your service. Ditsy's jaw dropped. 1,000 bits? That might almost make this worth it. Quite, said Lancelot. Sir Lancelot agreed. Pinkie Pie, is our mode of transportation here yet? Before Pinkie could answer, the ground began to rumble rhythmically. It sounded like giant footsteps were approaching. That would be him now, Pinkie squeaked. A gargantuan creature rounded the corner of the castle. Ditsy could think of no words to describe it other than dinosaur. The huge reptilian creature stopped in front of the ponies and stared down at Pinkie Pie with its huge, unintelligent-looking purple eyes. Hi, Gummy, Pinkie greeted. Ready to carry me and my friends for a while? Gummy responded with some sort of gurgling noise, opening his mouth to reveal his complete lack of teeth. Pinkie grinned back and turned to the rest of her team. Ditsy was trying as hard as she could to take Watt's advice and accept the arrival of a 30-foot tall, toothless alligator as just another average occurrence. Guys, this is Gummy, Pinkie Pie said. Normally, he's a little smaller, but for some reason, when he comes to Ananima, that's really weird to say. He gets really big. Maybe crossing the dimensional boundary has an effect on alligators or something. Pinkie shrugged it off. Anyways, Gummy will be carrying us. Since King Turnip Castle is like 20 miles away, it would take forever on hoof. Gummy lowered his large head, and Pinkie hopped up his snout and planted herself firmly in the middle of his back. Well, come on, she called. I need to be back at Ponyville in time for dinner, so let's get going. Watt glanced at Ditsy for a second, then turned and trotted up Gummy's ramp-like snout to the top. Sir Lancelot bounced up on as well. Ditsy, not comfortable with walking on a giant reptile's face, opted to fly up instead. Once every pony was aboard, Gummy began to walk out of the grayish plains. Now, said Pinkie Pie, once we leave the territory of King Lancelot's kingdom, this is going to get a lot more dangerous, so let's start strategy while we ride. I don't know anything about fighting, Ditsy pointed out hurriedly. Maybe when we get there, I could stay back and make sure no pony hijacks the gator while we're gone. Pinkie Pie laughed. Silly Ditsy, no one can hijack Gummy without the keys, and I have them right here. She held up a small key ring and jangled it a few times. Ditsy had no desire to know how an alligator could have keys, but she remained silent and simply nodded. Anyway, Pinkie Pie continued, since your company only had the two of you to send, we're still a little too short on reinforcements to help defeat the king's imperial army. That's why we're going to have to make a stop on the way there and pick some pony up. He's the most powerful and deadly mercenary in all of Anamina. Sir Lancelot gasped. Pinkie Pie, surely you don't mean him. I do mean him, and don't call me Shirley. Pinkie Pie said, barely able to contain her giggles after making the blatant movie reference. I don't get it. Yeah, but he owes me, said Pinkie, narrowing her eyes. He'll help us. He swore he would. Ditsy and Watt exchanged unsure glances again. There, Pinkie Pie cried. That looks like a good place to ask about around about. I gotta stop making mistakes. People are gonna start hating me for that. That looks like a good place to ask around about his whereabouts. The building Pinkie Pie had indicated was a decrepit-looking tavern on the roadside. Gummy walked up next to it and stopped, lowering his snout once again for the ponies and Sir Lancelot to disembark. Pinkie Pie led the group through the swinging doors and into the tavern. The building was rather dark and cramped, the few lights that were flickering weakly, and booths and tables eliminated walk space. But what startled Ditsy the most was that the tavern was packed with patrons. All of them were inanimate objects. Pinkie Pie, totally unfazed by the unfamiliar surroundings, bounced through the room and seated herself at the swiveling stool at the bar. Cautiously, Ditsy, Watt, and Sir Lancelot followed. The bartender, a surly-looking refrigerator, lumbered over to the four new customers. "What will it be?" he asked in a grating voice. "The usual, on the rocks," Pinkie announced. The usual? Ditsy thought. She's been here before? The refrigerator turned to Watt. "And you?" "I'll have what she's having," Watt announced, looking rather excited about the whole thing. "And I'll have your finest wine, good sir," said Sir Lancelot added. "What about you, then?" the bartender asked, turning at last to the Pegasus. Ditsy, who had been busy processing how a refrigerator could in fact look surly, was caught by the surprised question. Just wine." "Oh, come on," Watt called from the two seats down. "You gotta live a little, Ditsy." He turned back to the bartender. "Bring her back, we're getting two. I'm buying." Ditsy winced as the bartender lumbered away to fill the drinks. "What? What did you do that for? I'm not really a big fan of alcohol." "Oh, you'll like this, though," Pinkie Pie said. "Every pony likes this little concoction." 5 glasses came sliding down the long table to the group. There 3 were the mystery beverage that the ponies had ordered, along with Lancelot's glass of wine, and Ditsy's water. Pinkie Pie snatched up her glass and drained it in a few gulps. She sent her cup sliding down to the bartender, motioning for a refill. "All right," Pinkie Pie said. "I'm going to go use the little filly's room, and then we can get started asking around about him." The pink pony smiled giddily and hopped off to the restroom. Ditsy scrutinized the beverage in front of her. It smelled vaguely sweet, and the aromatic twinge of alcohol was clearly present as well. She steeled herself and took a hesitant sip. Surprisingly, the drink was refreshing and rather tasty. But Ditsy refrained from consuming more until she had questioned Pinkie Pie thoroughly about the drink's alcohol level. Watt, on the other hand, had drained the majority of the glass. "Good stuff, eh, Ditsy?" he said with a grin. "Yeah," Ditsy responded. "Not bad, I guess." "See," said Watt, "nothing bad is going to happen. We'll just enjoy a quick drink, and then we can get back to our—" Watt was cut off as the tavern door slammed open, immediately silencing all conversation. Standing in the doorway was a little pile of rocks of varying sizes. The other objects in the seating area shied away as the newcomer approached the bar. "That's him," "That's him," Sir Lancelot whispered in terror. "That's the mercenary Pinkie Pie wishes to enlist. That's Rocky." Rocky hopped onto the stool to the right of the one Pinkie Pie had been occupying. Had she been present at the moment, he ordered something from the bartender and sat silently. The conversation in the rest of the room slowly began to return. Rocky rotated counterclockwise. In other words, he turned to look at Watt, who was separated from him only by Pinkie Pie's seat. "A pony, huh?" Rocky rasped in his "A pony, huh?" Rocky rasped in a deep voice. "Can't say we see too many of you around these parts. What y'all doing in here anyway?" Watt stammered. "Well, I'm not—" "Stop being so wishy-washy, son. Rocky said more loudly. Well, I'm not sure if I can explain really, Watt continued. Our friend is probably more qualified to. Dang it, boy, Rocky roared, jumping up onto the bar counter. What do you think you're up to? Do you know who you're talking to? When Rocky asks a question, Rocky expects to get some answers. Sorry, Watt squeaked, shrinking back to the pile of rocks. You're gonna be, Rocky said. I'm gonna teach you why you don't go around pulling one over and up. Rocky? Asked a high-pitched voice. Every pony turned to the source of the sound. Pinkie Pie had emerged from the restrooms and was grinning at the rough and tumble pile of stones. Well, butter my biscuits and call me Delilah, Rocky announced. It ain't it ain't old Pinkie Pie. That's weird to say. I thought I recognized that old alligator. I recognized that old gator in the parking lot. Hiya, Rocky, said Pinkie gleefully. My friends and I were just looking for you. Friends? You mean these guys? Rocky asked. Yes, Sir Lancelot chimed in. Please don't hurt us. Rocky guffawed. Don't you go all chicken on me now. Any friend of Pinkie Pie's is a friend of mine. That's a relief, Ditsy breathed. In that case, nice to meet you, Rocky. Pleasure, Rocky grunted. Now, about the reason we were looking for you, Pinkie Pie said. Sorry. You owe me a huge favor, remember? I don't recall any. Pinkie Pie narrowed her eyes. Rocky. All right, yeah, Rocky admitted. What did you have in mind? I'd rather not discuss it in mixed company, Pinkie whispered under her breath. Come on out with us, and we'll talk aboard Gummy. Sounds good, Rocky agreed. Meet you fellas outside then. Rocky hopped down from the stool. Yo, put the drink on my tab, he called to the bartender. Heck, put all their drinks on my tab while you're at it. The bartender nodded, which is an awkward movement for a refrigerator. Pinkie grabbed her second drink once again and drained it in a few gulps. Alright guys, she sang. Finish your drinks and come on, we've got to get moving. Watt sipped the last of the beverage and stood up to leave. Ditsy made to follow him. Wait, you didn't finish your drink, Watt observed. I don't want it. I hardly ever get drunk. I get tipsy too easily. Watt darted to the counter and grabbed the drink. Using his near impossible speed, he darted over to Ditsy, and before she could react, pulled her head back by the mane and dumped the remainder of the drink into her mouth. There, said the Earth Pony, as Ditsy coughed and sputtered, having inhaled a fair portion of the drink to her state of surprise. Maybe now you'll lighten up a little bit for the rest of the trip. Ditsy just glared at her companion as he trotted out of the bar, grinning ear to ear. Gummy stomped along the barren plains, now with 3 ponies, a ball of lint, and a stack of rocks riding on his back. You want to do what? Rocky roared. We need to invade King Turnip's castle, Pinkie Pie insisted. It's the only way we'll be able to unite. Sir Lancelot and Madame Lafleur. You have got to be kidding me, Rocky proclaimed. We'd need an army to go up against the king. Well, that's why we have you, Pinkie Pie said. You're the greatest mercenary in this whole country. If any pony can stand up to the king's forces, it's you. Shoo, girl, you're making me blush, Rocky said, despite the fact that that was quite impossible. But I still can't take all the king's forces alone. Well, that's why I brought these 2 to help us, Pinkie squeaked, motioning to Ditsy and Watt. Watt grinned at Rocky in his usual manner. Ditsy, who was beginning to feel the effects of the alcohol, would just hiccup. Yeah, said Rocky sarcastically. Real top-notch looking team you got there. Don't worry, Pinkie squeaked. They're professionals. Ditsy wanted to remind Pinkie Pie that she and Watt were professionals at forming relationships between ponies, not fighting an evil army. but her mind was too clouded by alcohol to properly form the thought. Another long half-hour passed. Gummy's footsteps rumbled rhythmically as the giant alligator approached the castle of the evil king. Every pony aboard waited intensely. This is very strange, said Sir Lancelot after a while. We've certainly passed over the border into King Turnip's territory by now, but I haven't seen any resistance. I hope we're not walking into some sort of trap. Well, we're about to find out, Pinky chirped. We're here. Well, boil my broccoli and call me Mary Ann, Rocky exclaimed. Look at the size of that place. A huge foreboding castle, far bigger than Sir Lancelot's, loomed in front of the group of heroes. A small squadron of guards, which once again were a variety of objects, marched in front of the main gates. We have to get inside quickly and challenge the king, Sir Lancelot said. We can't expend all our energy fighting the gate guards. Why don't we just have Gunny charge through the front gates? Wat asked. Which should get us through the throne pretty quickly. That's a fantastic idea, Bitsy slurred. It's a good thing you didn't get me drunk, or I wouldn't be much of a help in the fighting. Ditsy teetered a bit, and had to step sideways a few times to keep her balance. Still amused by his friend's alcohol intolerance, Watt tried his best to hide his giggling. Yeah, that's true, Ditsy. Lucky for us, you're still totally sober. Watt and Pinkie Pie exchanged mischievous grins. Well, let's do this thing already, Rocky yelled. Charge! Gummy emitted a loud sound that was a mixture of gurgle and a squawk, and began running full speed toward the castle. The guards cried out and raised their weapons, but all were too easily bowled over by the sheer force of the gigantic reptile's charging bulk. The great metal gates were bashed open, and Gummy finally came to a stop in front of the doors of the castle's interior, which were too small for him to fit through. Please do not exit until the alligator has come to a complete stop, Pinkie Pie said. Thank you for riding with Gummy. The ponies hopped down from the alligator's back, with the exception of Ditsy, who simply toppled off the side, barely managing to prevent a painful fall with her wings. Once Rocky and Sir Lancelot had disembarked as well, the team ran forward and pushed open the huge wooden door. The grand hall of the castle was a massive chamber. Dozens of tapestries with the kingdom's symbol dangled from the ceiling, and a long red carpet led all the way up to the throne, upon which was seated a simple bucket full of turnips topped with a golden crown. Who dares barge into my throne room uninvited? The king demanded. It is I, Sir Lancelot said, stepping forward. I have come for your blessed daughters. Hand her over, you wicked scoundrel. The king laughed evilly. My dear Lafleur is far too good for the likes of you. But since you have the gall to enter my castle and demand her, I shall not let you escape. King Turnip whistled, and suddenly another squadron of buckets dropped in from the ceiling. Each one held a different type of vegetable inside, and all wore black cloths around them like bananas. Ninjas, Rocky bellowed. Dang it, why does it always gotta be ninjas? Do you surrender? The king asked. Heck no, Rocky cried, drawing a sword despite the fact that he had no limbs. Hey you, the yellow guy, help me out here. Oh, hey you, the yellow guy, help me out here. Rocky tossed another sword through the air. Watt caught the hilt in his teeth. Pinky and Lint Boy, away! Away! And Rocky continued more quietly. I think I'm getting revved up for like the end, which is like not too far away. Try to find a way around the action and see if you can take out the king. Okie dokie Loki, Pinky responded, tossing Lancelot onto her back. And you, the mare with the wings, Rocky said finally. You're too hammered to fight. Go and find the princess. I told you I'm not drunk, Ditzy burbled. I'm perfectly, sober. I... Well, some pony's gotta do it, Rocky replied testily. Stick to the plan, or we are all going to get killed out here. Enough of this foolishness, King Turnip bellowed. Attack! Ditzy, Pinkie Pie, and Sir Lancelot darted into one of the many small hallways, leaving Rocky and Wat to fend off the ninjas. Ditzy trotted down yet another quiet hallway lined with torches and intimidating suits of armor. It felt like the whole castle was rotating slowly. The Pegasus repeatedly stumbled and had to carefully regain her footing. Who am I kidding? The inebriated mare thought to herself. They're right, I'm about as drunk as I can be, and combining that with my already lousy vision does not make getting around a simple task. What had the same drink I had, and Pinkie Pie had twice as much, and yet both of them are perfectly alert. Cursing her severe intolerance for alcohol, the gray mare continued to search chamber after chamber in the seemingly deserted castle for signs of the princess. Eventually, she lost her footing again and on a crease in the rug and tumbled sideways through a small door, winding up sprawling on a plush carpet. Something inside the room gave a small gasp. Ditzy looked up, trying to focus her very blurry vision on the source. Who are you? came a female voice with a very I can't. Who are you? Ba 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 came a French accent. Ditzy's eyes, or at least one of them, finally came to rest on a large brown sack with a tiny gold crown perched atop it. Are you Madame Lafleur? The Pegasus asked weakly. Oui, I am, the sack responded. My friend Sir Lancelot has come looking for you, Ditzy slurred. He and the rest of my friends are in the throne room, fighting your father's guards. Madame Lafleur gasped again. My dear, brave Lancelot, quickly, you must take me to him. The princess leapt atop Ditzy's back. She was a lot of extra weight, and the mare had enough trouble walking as it was. Oh, this is going to be fun, Ditzy mumbled sarcastically as she staggered out the door. That's it, boy, Rocky cried encouragingly. Bring him down! Rocky was impressed with Wat's skills. The Earth Pony was so fast, and most of the time he had struck the ninja buckets before they ever saw him coming. Rocky had fantastic warrior skills as well. The little pile of rocks jumped around, swinging his sword furiously. Even when the ninjas gagged up in groups of 4 or 5, Rocky would quickly cut them down. Together, the pony and the stack of rocks were proving to be an equal match for the enemy forces. Meanwhile, Pinkie Pie and Sir Lancelot appeared on the second-floor balcony, located just above the king's throne. Listen closely, Pinkie, Sir Lancelot whispered. There is only one way to save Inamina from the king's tyranny, is to defeat him right now. We just have to jump down there and slay him before any of the ninjas notice. I think it's a little too late for that, Pinkie Pie pointed out. Somehow, a gang of ninjas had appeared from the shadows, trapping Pinkie Pie and her linty friend on the second-floor balcony. Caught, said Sir Lancelot wailed. Ho, whoa, we were so close. We're not done yet, Pinkie Pie announced, reaching into her saddlebag and removing a small round device. What is that? A tiny, colorful explosive, Pinkie Pie explained, for light shows at parties. You're not going to... Hang on to something, Pinkie Pie cried, cutting him off. She hurled the explosive on the floor between herself and the ninjas. Wat, Rocky, and the king were startled by a sudden flash of light and a loud bang, and even more surprised when the upper balcony suddenly crumbled, dropping a slightly charred Pinkie Pie right at the base of the throne. The king reacted faster than any pony could have guessed. In a flash, he was holding some kind of strange-looking deadly weapon, pulsating with electricity, right at Pinkie Pie's chest. The Earth Pony held perfectly still, staring fearfully at the evil tyranny. Everyone in the room stopped battling and watched in shock. Finally, the king mused. I would have settled for defeating the invaders, but the chance to personally kill Pinkie Pie. Well, that's a blessing I wasn't counting on. The king laughed maniacally for a few moments. This world, born of your twisted imagination, is at last about to come mine. It's about to become mine. I have corrupted the land, draining the joy from its endless fields, and now at last I can make it permanent. With you gone, I will be the new god of Manamina. Will burn my britches and call me Annabelle, Rocky gasped. The king's gonna kill old Pinkie Pie. Pinkie Pie's pupil dilated as King Turnip lunged forward, his electrified weapon aiming for her defenseless pony heart. Pinkie Pie! No one saw Watt move. Not even a streak of yellow indicated his mad dash. Yet somehow he was between the king and Pinkie. He grabbed the king in one hoof and the weapon in the other, effectively creating the circuit with his body, electricity surging through him and to the king, who screamed at the sound of roasting turnips filled the air. Watt hurled the weapon aside, shaking from the powerful dose of electricity, but undeterred, he lifted the dazed Pinkie Pie and carried her down from the throne. Ah! The injured king wailed. How dare you! Ninjas! Finish them off! The ninjas once again started to advance, but stopped once more as yet another pony dropped down from the higher level of the castle next to the king. I think I've had enough of this madness for once, Ditzy announced, her unceremoniously flicking of her hoof, knocking over the bucket and spilling the turnips. No! The king wailed with his dying breath. Curse you, ponies! Curse you! Every pony stared at the dead king for a few moments. Then a voice cried out in the silence. Madame Lafleur! A sack of flour leapt from Ditzy's back. Oh, Sir Lincelot! The two love-struck objects ran toward each other, leaping into one another's embrace. Ditzy blinked a few times. Something was different, but what? For one thing, she felt perfectly alert. It was as if she had sobered up instantaneously. Looking around, she noticed similar negative effects on her friends had also been cured. Pinkie was no longer scorched, and Watt no longer was struggling to control the excess electricity surging through him. The three ponies looked at Madame Lafleur and Sir Lincelot, or more accurately, a sack of flour with a ball of lint sitting on top of it. Their motion was gone. They were simple and animate objects again. It suddenly occurred to the Pegasus why her surroundings seemed so different. She was no longer in the huge stone hall, but rather a warm, wood-paneled floor. Pinkie's room in Sugar Cube Corner. Huh? Was all the mayor could manage to squeak out. That was awesome! Watt screamed. Best assignment of all time. I know, Pinkie Pie giggled. I haven't had an adventure that epic for, well, at least an entire month. Pinkie Pie turned to Ditzy and frowned. The Pegasus was twitching a bit as she struggled to comprehend what had just happened. So, wait, Ditzy murmured. None of that really happened? Of course it happened, Pinkie Pie squealed. Look, Madame Lafleur and Sir Lincelot are going together now. And the king is dead, see? She jerked her hoof in the direction of the bucket which lay on the floor. The turnip spread lazily around. Gummy, who was now barely a foot long, stepped over and attempted to eat one. So, if it was all real, why are your friends unable to talk and move again? They can still talk, Pinkie declared. She ran over to her hoof on Rocky. Well, bang my bongles and call me Martha, she said in a Rocky-esque accent. The pony's talking crazy again. Ditzy stared at Pinkie and the clearly non-living pile of rocks for several seconds. Can I just get my pay and go, please? It's been a very, very long day. Sure, Pinkie Pie jerked. It's over there. Two large bags sat on the stool where Sir Lincelot had initially been sitting. Each looked easily big enough to contain the promised 1,000 bits. Ditzy grabbed the bag and placed it in her saddlebags. Thank you, she said, and, that was fun, I guess. Ditzy trotted out the door, but stopped when she heard Pinkie Pie again. She paused outside the doorway to listen. So, what? Pinkie began sheepishly. Oh, this is the end of the story-ish? No, so I'm just gonna keep reading that way. So, what? Pinkie began sheepishly. Thanks for saving my life and all. No problem, Walt replied in his usual vigor. That electric blast would probably have killed most ponies. If I had redirected some into the king, it would have gone bad. Well, thanks again, Pinkie said. Inamina is tied to my life, since, I somehow created it. But I'm still not sure how that happened. Anyway, now that the Evil King's dead, it should begin to turn bright and green again. That's great, Watt replied. I hope your friends are happy and they're finally together. Oh, I'm pretty sure they are, Pinky squeaked. There was an awkward silence for a few seconds. Well, Watt said, better get going. It's getting late. Unless, said Pinkie Pie, you want to go to get dinner or something? Like on a date? Watt asked. Pinkie giggled. Well, I guess that's one way of putting it. Watt laughed along with the pink pony. Sure, let's go. Ditsy chuckled to herself as she trotted out of Sugarcube Corner. Well, how about that, she thought to herself. Sir Lancelot and Madame Lafleur weren't the only ones with a budding romance today. The Pegasus smiled as she heard the sounds of a large pay jingling in her saddlebags. I think I better go treat myself to a nice dinner too, after a day like that. Still smiling, Ditsy trotted up to the dimly lit street, wondering how in Equestria she was going to explain today's events to Breeze. God dang it, I hate doing accents for these people. Well, bake me a bun cake and call me Susie, Rocky proclaimed. That was a dang lengthy chapter right there. Wow, you're right, said Pinky, staring up at the top of the 26 vertically arranged pages. But it was a lot of fun, though. She turned to Rocky. We should really stop breaking the fourth wall, by the way. If we put too many holes in it, the whole chapter will come crashing down in a meaningless pile. I don't want that, Rocky admitted. Well, then, I guess I should say, good night, every pony. Yeah, good night, Pinky agreed, before skipping off for her date with Watt. That's another chapter. That one took ages. That is not where I wanted to open. That's Mad K. Vince. Hilarious. That did not feel like 37 minutes. That's complete B to the S. Anywho, so lucky I had that backup chapter last time. I don't know. I don't know. That chapter was just weird. Bootleg, yes, like a good bootleg, but not. That was a good 10,000 words. That's like fell out of Equestria's chapters. Oh, and we already know how, unless you haven't, which I'm probably going to read at some point. Maybe not if someone else has read it. I'm actually looking forward to the audiobook, so probably not. The chapter's over, so if you don't want to hear me rambling for like the next few minutes, also, like, I don't know if people don't understand equestrian manufacturing, which is something I just kind of came up with. Because originally, I guess I was just gonna do it and be like, oh, yeah, y'all know, YOLO fish. But, that's not what happened. So I'm kind of making it into a story. And so basically, it's, for right now, like, what it's got in the description on the first one is what it's gonna be. But I haven't had time because it's really hard to type in the dark because my keyboard doesn't light up. I can't see what I type, so it looks really bad because I can't go back because I can't find my backspace key because I don't have it memorized. Because this keyboard is just nasty. But equestrian manufacturing is supposed to be like Equestria in a present day setting, I guess, except a bit like more in the future. But they're stuck in the time period when America was trying to industrialize and everyone was getting completely effed by like not the economic stuff, but they were getting completely effed by the fact that you couldn't have your rights as a worker. I mean, you could completely just lose your arms and they wouldn't give a shit and they just fire you, and they'd be like, "Oh, that was your fault, you dumb." But I think that's how mine's gonna be. It's going to be about Fluttershy's ancestor who, because he can't pay for the what is that? What I said? I said it was the Fluttershy, the reserve for like the animals. He can't pay for whatever the bills are, and he goes and works there. which is he goes and works, and then he starts seeing that the workers that he has, some of them they disappear, or when they do disappear and they come back, they act all weird. And he's trying to get the bottom of this because he feels that he's being watched, he's being targeted, and he gets really paranoid. So he like asks a stupid question during work, and that makes the people get kind of anxious, which is what the next thing's gonna be. Because so far I have that and Shaft 13, I think it's called. Shaft 13 is what happens when people disappear. They go down into Shaft 13, which is an elevator. I don't know if you're still listening, but you should probably keep listening because that's where it gets all juicy. And they go in the elevator, and then that's when that elevator music, quote unquote elevator music, starts playing, and it kind of sounds at the end. There's like a gunshot, and that could mean that they were completely eliminated from the whole story. I mean, they were shot or killed. And the one I had next was sandblasting. Sandblasting is just one of those, like, I don't know, I wouldn't say filler, but I would say like it's just one of those quote unquote chapters that helps people kind of get along with the character. So if something does happen to him, and it's going to be a romantic one, by the way, not really. It's gonna have romanticism in it. It's going to have comedy. Not really. You can't really put comedy in that much words. But you know what? I've been talking for a while, and I hope the next quote unquote song, because I don't really think they're songs. I think they're more like sounds. Whatever the next quote unquote song's gonna be, it's probably gonna be called Night Shift. I don't know what, like it can't be like sandblasting, but it's probably gonna be like Night Shift or something, which just sounds pretty damn bootleg for me. So I don't know what's gonna come after that. Maybe it's going to be, oh, I am thinking of making equestrian manufacturing and then putting coworkers and then like making things that are kind of, yeah, I'll be there. Yeah, boy. Yeah, boy. So stick in. Okay, I know. My tortillas are gonna get cold. And I was gonna make like equestrian manufacturing. Not what's it called? Equestrian manufacturing coworkers. It's kind of like a testament to other readers in a way. And I think the first person I was gonna do was Aska, but I was gonna say, because he's not doing pony fiction because I think he left the fandom. I was gonna put retiring like that. Like that was gonna be the title of the song. It's gonna be coworkers retiring, Aska retiring, or like for I'm gonna call it equestrian manufacturing foreman, because he's kind of the base, like one of those good people that you. That's the first thing I read. I think the first thing I got, which actually kind of got me in the fandom, which doesn't make sense, was the cupcakes thing. Like not the fandom, because I was already in the fandom, but the first fan fiction was cupcakes, and I was like, whoa, this is really gross. And then I'm like, I think I need something else. And then like somewhere in the like the suggested videos I had Malu Dashi. I listened to both of them, and like it didn't make me sad for Aska, but Aska like really read them all. So I think that's what's gonna be my next thing. Even if I don't update this, which is probably gonna be, people are gonna stop listening at around 36 minutes, because that's how everything seems to be, because everyone kind of ignores what happens after I'm done reading. So anyways, that's my little blurb. This the 45 minute blurb.